Hey everyone, today we'll discuss the 2020 miniseries Trap. The episode begins with Jun-soo and Aiji making out on a couch in the heat of the moment. Jun-soo tries to undress Haiji, but she refuses, saying she is not ready yet. She is concerned that after they sleep together, Jun-soo might change his behavior toward her. Upon hearing this, Jun-soo is disappointed as he had hoped his girlfriend would make love to him. Then the following day they part ways. While Jun-soo goes to college, Haiji meets with her best friend Sean. Sean cuts her off as follows. When Haiji, Woo-jin and Jin-soo are at a cafe on a certain day, the latter gets ready to leave for his apartment because he has to go to a group meeting and work with Seon. However, Haiji insists on joining them later at Jun-soo's apartment because she overhears Seon asking Jun-soo for a kiss. Although she is startled, she thinks Seon is just kidding around. But her worst fears come true that night when she discovers Jun-soo cheating on her with her best friend. She is devastated and furious. When Kyung-woo asks for her phone number, she gives it to him without hesitation. When Jun notices this, he tries to stop her, but Haiji corrects him by telling him that they are no longer a couple. As she exits the classroom, Kyung-woo follows her and tries to talk to her about something important. However, she tells him to forget what happened the previous night and ignores him. In the scene that follows, Haiji learns that rumors have been spreading about her. Afterward, the next day on the way to class, Haiti sees Jin-soo and Seon having sex. After the class is over, Jun-soo tries to talk to Haiji, saying he still likes her and wants her back. Shaiji and Kyung-woo stay for a drink, and she clarifies that she doesn't want to be in a new relationship right now as they converse. Nevertheless, she dismisses him and claims that she is dating someone else. Now, she goes to get a bite to eat with Kyung-woo and mentions that her ex has been bothering her lately. When questioned, Haiji explains that Jin-soo cheated on her with her best friend and made it seem like it was her fault. Observing Haiji sad, Kyung-woo suggests she prove to her ex-boyfriend that she is better off without him. Haiji agrees right away and comes up with the idea to pretend that she and Kyung-woo are seeing each other. When Kyung-woo notices Jin-soo following them, he kisses Haiji. Jin-soo then apologizes to Haiji and says that his relationship with Shaun was only a one-time thing. Haiji cleverly records him. However, when Seon arrives and hears the recording, she becomes enraged and slaps Jun-soo before leaving abruptly a few days later. When Haiji says that she feels better now after clearing things out with Jun-soo, Woo asks her why she hasn't been in contact recently. The following day, when she meets Kyung-woo for lunch, Kyung-woo becomes a little flirtatious and attempts to persuade Haiji to date him, but she is indifferent in the next scene. When Kyung-woo first asked her out, she rejected, claiming that she doesn't want to date anybody right now. Later that day, Haiji decides to go on a coffee date with Kyung-woo. While on their date, they are interrupted by Yoonji, who is surprised to see them together. It turns out that Yoonji and Kyung-woo are from the same department. Suddenly, Yoonji receives a call. Haiji sees Jin-soo with another girl while approaching her and explains that Jin-soo has been trying to turn the freshman by pretending to be nice to everyone. She then warns Haiji not to. She is comforted by Kyung-woo's explanation that their previous relationship ended because her ex was unfaithful, which was his fault rather than hers. He also argues that because he differs from Jin-soo, she should give him a chance. After she encounters Young-woo and Seon in the cafe, just as it seems that Haiji has begun to appreciate him, she confronts them and inquires about their relationship. However, when she goes away, she discovers that they are only working on their homework together. Later that night, Haiji meets Woo-jin and shares that she has a crush on someone but is afraid of being hurt again. Woo-jin advises her to take her time and learn more about the guy before making a decision. The next day, Kyung-woo goes to the library with Haiji and the two have a romantic moment. After this, Kyung-woo apologizes for the misunderstanding. Haiji then reveals that she became insecure because this is the girl her ex-boyfriend cheated on. He says he won't bother her until she chooses to go out with him. Haiji receives a text from Kyung-woo the next morning before leaving for college informing him that he would be working with Yoonji on test preparations. A few hours later, she goes to see Kyung-woo in the cafe, and as she is about to enter the cafe, she notices Yoonji holding Kyung-woo's hand and is heartbroken. It's even more shocking for Haiji when later that night Kyung-woo carries Yoonji home to her apartment. After she gets drunk the next day after class, she once again notices Kyung-woo with Yoonji and feels sad. In the meantime, Woo-jin arrives and takes her to the park where they drink and talk about. Haiji answers, unaware of her own changing conduct, that she doesn't want him around anymore. Later that night, Haiji is followed by someone making her feel uncomfortable just as Woo-jin appears and walks her home. When they get there, Woo-jin confesses his crush on her and gives her a gift. He then says he will wait for her decision for however long it takes and respect it. Kyung-woo is still trying to persuade Haiji. In the meantime, Woo-jin arrives and warns Kyung-woo to stop making Haiji uncomfortable. A few days later, when Haiji meets Skyung-woo, she becomes furious and decides to eat outdoors by herself. On the way home, however, She collides with a drunk driver who throws her to the ground before Woojin arrives and beats the guy. Yoonji confronts Haiji when she gets home because she has been avoiding her. Haiji wants to clear up any misunderstandings, but the former appears unresponsive. As a result, Haiji goes to a park where she is joined by Woojin. She explains to him that she has been taking her anger out on Yoonji even though she hasn't done an actual physical harm. She fears that if she doesn't manage her anger and trust difficulties, Eunji may leave her life. Haiji is also anxious because she believes that everyone will abandon her eventually. Woojin, however, promises to stand by her side and watch out for her as long as she doesn't push him away. We are then taken to a flashback where Haiji is being followed. However, it turns out that the stalker was none other than Woojin. Back in the present, as Haiji tries to make amends with Eunji, they decide to go shopping and sing together at a karaoke bar. However, when Eunjin notices that Wooji, the next flashback shows Yoojin talking to Kyungwoo about someone who wears black clothes and a cap stalking Haiji, but she's not sure who it is, so one day Kyungwoo decides to follow the stalker unexpectedly. There are two guys similar in appearance and Kyungwoo was able to catch one of them, who is Woojin. However, he claims that he has been following. She had logged in on Woojin's phone to look up a new restaurant she had liked on social media, but she had forgotten to log out when Woojin noticed the stalker's text on Haiji's messenger. As a result, he decided to keep an eye on her account to identify the stalker. In the present, Seon informs Kyungwoo that a guy from a different department has been putting food in her locker. It turns out that he is the same stalk in a different flashback. Woojin learns that Haiji's phone has been hacked and that his texts are being erased before she can view them. Haiji is waiting for Kyungwoo in the playground when the stalker approaches her. He confesses that he has been stalking her and sending her gifts like a psycho. When Haiji threatens to send the audio recording of his confession to her friends, he pushes her to the ground. Additionally, the stalker texted Kyungwoo to wait at the college's cafe instead of the playground at the moment. The episode concludes with Kyungwoo and Haiji resuming their romance and living happily ever after Haiji breaks down after hearing this in Woojin's presence.